Hi, I'm Jen Forand. I'm a college counselor here at Campus Bound, and today I'll be discussing the role of recommendation letters in the college admissions process. While it's true that many schools are dropping their requirements for recommendations, we find that recommendation letters are still an important piece of the application. That said, some schools will only read a specific number of recs. This is outlined on the school-specific website in addition to the application. It is the student's responsibility to research and know what each school will and won't read when requesting letters of recommendation. So what are the different types of letters that students request? School counselor. Most colleges and universities will require or encourage a recommendation letter from your school counselor. The purpose of a counselor recommendation is to give context to your high school experience and achievements. Typically, counselors have large caseloads and are tasked with many tasks. This means that you may not have a significant amount of face time with your school counselor. While I do suggest that students are proactive and request appointments so their counselor can get to know them, the reality is that your letter will likely depend heavily on two things. Are you a hardworking student who makes good choices? And did you fill out your counselor brag sheet? Counselors are in constant communication with teachers, administrators, students. This means that if you are making good choices and have a good reputation, trying hard in your class, your school counselor likely knows this. For the pieces that they don't know, most counselors will ask students and even sometimes parents to fill out a brag sheet. This is a student's opportunity to share important pieces of information in their high school experiences outside of their grades. In most cases, extracurricular activities and achievements should be highlighted in the counselor recommendation. I wrote hundreds of letters of recommendation, and some of the best ones were for students that I didn't see a ton, but were great school citizens and provided wonderful detailed brag sheets. Next is core academic teachers. In addition to school counselors, most colleges and universities will require at least one recommendation from an academic teacher. You may see that some of the colleges you are applying to only require one teacher rec, with the second one being optional. You may also see that a teacher recs are only optional for applicants. In almost all cases, colleges will read two recommendations from core academic teachers, and for this reason, we advise our students to ask for two. So which teachers do you ask? Academic teachers are teachers that teach core subjects: English, social studies, math, science, or foreign language. High schools with tech programs such as engineering, electrical, pre-health can also be used as a recommendation in appropriate circumstances. Some majors within a specific college or university will request that you submit recommendations from certain core subjects. This may happen for engineering, business, specialized 5-year programs like physical therapy. Additionally, most schools prefer and sometimes require that your teacher recommendations come from junior teachers. This was much more of an issue 2 years ago when students didn't know their junior teachers well, but now that schools are back in person, recommendations should come from junior teachers in almost all cases. Colleges want the best, most recent representation of you as an academic contributor. Next is non-core teachers. This would be art, music, PE, or other elective teachers. Typically, we do not suggest that students request recommendations from these teachers. However, there are exceptions. The most common exception is if a student is applying to art or music program. In this scenario, one of the teacher recommendations should absolutely be from that non-core teacher. The last type of recommendation is outside recommenders. Examples are coaches, employees, employers, prestigious alumni, mentors, or peers. The student coordinates the submission of outside recommenders, and typically they need to be invited by the student on the common application. Common application, for example, has a specific area for outside recommenders under FERPA and recommenders. High schools do not send outside recommenders. Similar to non-academic teacher letters, admissions counselors don't want to be bogged down with more to read, especially if they can ascertain the information from a counselor letter. So outside recs need to be carefully selected and strategic. So now that you know the different types of letters that a student can send, let's chat about the role these letters play in the admissions process. So counselor recommendations. Colleges and universities want good citizens on their campus. The counselor letter is an opportunity to assess the student's character, strengths, and reputation at the school, their academic achievement in the context of the specific high school, their growth as a student, extracurricular achievements, and any extenuating circumstances. Counselor letters are accompanied by a transcript and a school profile to give the admissions counselor an understanding of what you achieved and academics that are offered at your high school. Again, most counselors will require students to fill out a brag sheet or provide a resume to support their writing. Please take this assignment very seriously. Brag sheets offer students control over what goes into their recommendation, and it's so much easier to write a quality letter when students provide a detailed brag sheet or resume. Next, core academic teachers. Colleges and universities are first and foremost academic institutions. They need to know if students are academically prepared. The teacher recommendation helps them answer the following questions. Does the student have academic integrity? Can they think creatively and produce consistent quality original work? Do they work hard? If they don't understand something, do they seek clarification? Are they ready for the pressures of collegiate academics? And finally, do they have a particular aptitude in a subject area that will serve them well in a particular major? Non-academic teachers and outside recommenders, quite simply, this type of recommendation should provide a unique point of view that is pertinent to your application and is not represented in any other recommendation or part of your application. Before requesting, ensure that the school you're applying to will accept them. All right, don't be the student in this meme. Ensure that you have done your part to foster positive relationships during your time in high school before you ask for college recommendation letters. Build a good reputation by working hard in class, making good choices inside and outside of the classroom, and being respectful and kind in all situations. So what should you do before the end of junior year? First, review admissions requirements for the school that you're considering applying to. Ask your teacher in person if they'd be willing to write you a letter. If they agree to write you a letter, email them a thank you and ask what type of documentation they need, like a resume or a brag sheet. The last thing you need to do before the end of junior year is request an appointment with your school counselor. For those of you worrying throughout this presentation that you don't know your school counselor, it's okay. Request an appointment, chat with them about your college list, where you intend to apply, and ask them if they'll write for you. Most of the time, students would just assume that I would write for them. They would never ask, which was fine, I would, but a request meant a lot to me. These small interactions go a long way, and it's an easy, positive interaction with your counselor. Next, provide documentation that's required, like a brag sheet. Take your time, offer as much detail as possible. Finally, there may be other steps that you need to follow in the fall of your senior year to ensure a smooth submission of your recommendations. Learn what you need to do at your school. Each school is different. This is important that you understand the process at your high school. While the process is similar for outside recommenders, the ownership on the student is on the student. So make sure individual colleges will accept the additional recs, then check how the school wants those to be submitted. Don't forget to say thank you. Teachers and counselors are taking time out of their lives to write a thoughtful letter for you, and they are invested in your outcomes. Don't forget to thank them, follow up with them to let them know where you're accepted and where you're going. Recommendation letters are an important part of the college application, and like all other parts, unique to each student. So don't hesitate to reach out to set up a complimentary consultation so we can answer your specific questions. And thank you for watching.